This is the Good Government Show.
Senior Planet Montgomery is the county's premier program for providing technology training to older adults. The purpose of the program is to enable older adults to fully participate in the digital economy, to be able to use the internet and technology for daily living, and to connect with their community and engage in civic participation.
When older people are trying to learn technology, we just need to take it as it is and teach people at the pace that people are naturally learning a completely new language for folks who are beginners.
I think what's most impressive is the level of confidence that our participants have after participating in the program, particularly our multi-week classes. So there's folks that before they might have they felt like they had an impatient grandkid who's, I'm telling you something and then you didn't get it all at once, and then, there's a certain level of frustration. I think the fact that folks feel like at the end of this, I can do it. I can confidently manage things on my own. I am not afraid of the internet.
Welcome to the Good Government Show. I'm Carol Dioria.
And I'm David Martin. And today on the Good Government Show, we're going to talk about helping seniors and other older adults using technology.
And this is the story you told me about and the one you wanted to do. So I'm guessing the story is personal, isn't it?
It is personal. And I'm going to tell you that's part of how this show came together.
Okay. So what happened?
Well, it all started when I went to see my mother.
Okay.
I love my mother. Let me just start that. Mom, love you, Mom. She's 85.
You better say that.
Love you, Mom. She's 85 and she lives alone in Connecticut. And I went to her house and I saw her old desktop computer. And it was actually the one I bought her like 20 years ago, maybe longer. I don't know. And then I saw she had an iPad, but it was a first generation iPad and she had it kind of sideways in a keypad. So even though it was a pad, she'd sort of set it up like she was using it as a laptop.
Well, you know what, David, at least she was using it.
But it wasn't really working for her.
Are you sure? Or was it just not working the way you wanted it to work?
Okay. All right. Fair question. But the answer is both. And this is something we're going to explore on this show.
And so let me get this straight. You decided to change Mom's computing and it all went well, right?
Oh, not even close. Not even close.
I had a funny feeling.
Yeah. Well, so here's what's going on. The iPad she was working with wasn't letting her do some of the things she needed to do. She couldn't access her doctor's records. She couldn't book appointments. And she was the secretary of a local condo association, and that, taking her notes, it was like a multi-step process to write up the minutes. So it was a real problem.
Old technology just working against her, it sounds like.
That, and as you will soon see, that and me.
Yeah. Did she ever use a computer before?
She did, actually. Just before she retired, the last few years, she worked in a hospital. She ran an office and she had a computer on her desk and she was able to do, the basic functions for her job. So I got her that old desktop years ago. And as far as I knew, she seemed to be using it pretty well. She could email, she could save photos, she could look stuff up, but basic stuff.
Until you decided to help.
Okay, lose the attitude. But yes, I decided to help. I'm going to help. And it's my fault. I should have known because a few years ago, we got her an iPhone. Mostly we got that so she could swap pictures and text with her grandchildren. But I'll just cut to the chase. That didn't go well.
Okay.
But I didn't have an iPhone, so I wasn't much help. My wife and daughter tried, and that didn't go so well either. But I get it. It's new technology. And look, she got along for 70 years without a computer, without a smartphone. She doesn't want to use Waze. So, why bother, right?
Okay, right.
Well, 2 years ago, this is when disaster struck. 2 years ago at Christmas, I got her a new laptop. I got rid of the old iPad, got her a new laptop. It was Microsoft based, not Apple. And I won't bore you with the trips back and forth, but that didn't work out. So I wound up taking it back and replacing it with a new and more expensive iPhone and told her, Mom, you have to stop swearing at me.
Well, she was swearing at you?
Well, it was a lot of this damn thing. Why are you bothering me with all this shit? I don't think we've ever said shit. Can we say shit?
I think we can. It is our podcast.
All right, we'll change it to shite. Why are you bothering me with all this shite? So last year, I was at the NACO conference in Prince George's County, Maryland, and I was listening to the winners of the Achievement Awards, and I heard Montgomery County, Maryland, for their Information Technology Senior Planet Montgomery.
I bet a light bulb went off.
Oh, it did. And I want to know how they did it, how they talk technology to seniors, and what, if anything, I do to help Mom.
So a personal good government story. I like that.
Yes, me too. So let's go down to Montgomery County, Maryland. So Montgomery County is a Washington, D.C. suburb. Some of the towns that are there, you may have heard of Bethesda, Silver Springs, Rockville. There are a lot of folks that work for the government there, and they live there. It's a biotech hub. The FDA is headquartered there. The National Institute for Health is in Bethesda. Walter Reed Army Institute for Research is there.
So there's really a lot going on.
Yeah, there really is. And there's about 1 million people there. So it's a pretty active county. And Montgomery also has an aging population. So with access to so many services, folks don't want to leave. And about 20% of Montgomery's population is over the age of 65. And it's a diverse population. They have a significant Asian and Hispanic citizen population.
So that means the county really has to look for ways to help all its citizens, right?
Exactly. Now it's time to meet our county hero. This time it's Mitzi Herrera. I'm going to tell you her title because it's a good one. Mitzi is, are you ready? You might want to write this down, is the Ultra Montgomery Director for Policy, Planning, and Special Projects, which includes the Office of Broadband Programs, Technology, and Enterprise Solutions.
Unreal. That is a mouthful. I can't imagine she repeats that every day.
I don't think she does, but she's a busy lady. And you already heard a little bit from her, and wait till you hear more. In her role, Mitzi was seeing older adults looking for help, and she was seeing the population changes in the county. And with so many biotech firms, this was a place where seniors could really benefit. But the county also realized that keeping these seniors in the county had value. And not just for them, but also for family members who lived in the county too.
So the kids want to be closer to mom and dad.
Exactly. She also noticed that many health firms were looking to include seniors in their plans. And if you want to sell things to seniors, things like medical devices or online services, they have to know how to use them.
Right.
We determined that older adults lag furthest behind in adopting technology. And so what we looked to do was to see how we could create a pilot to provide technology training skills to older adults, and then try to branch that out into more partnerships with healthcare providers, and looking to see with some medical startups, getting different kinds of entrepreneurs and startups, and having a location in Montgomery County where not only do you have access to quality infrastructure, you have the ability to meet with federal regulators, and you also have a population of older adults who are tech savvy and can participate in clinical and business trials.
So Mitzi is really the one who said, I can make this better, right?
Right. And she was thinking about this when she met Tom Camber. They met at an industry conference. Tom was awarded for an innovative program to teach technology to seniors. They met and talked, and that was the beginning of Senior Planet Montgomery. So here's Tom's story about that creation.
I started running a training program in Bedford-Stuyvesant at the Betty Shabazz complex with a bunch of senior citizens, and they helped me design a really successful program for getting older people to learn technology and feel good about it. And that spread around New York City to about 50 different locations over a number of years. And then we began looking to expand it outside to other states. And that was when I went to that conference and I met Mitzi, and she said, let's get some funding together and see if you can bring that model to Montgomery County and see if we can engage some of our local libraries and senior centers.
So they're off and running.
Right. So let me tell you about Tom. He is the founder and executive director of OATS, and that stands for Older Adults Technology Services. And he created Senior Planet, and OATS is affiliated with AARP. He's a nationally recognized expert in teaching technology to seniors. And he made me feel really much better about not being able to teach technology to my mom.
So it wasn't just you. You were off the hook.
Well, look, if Tom can't teach his parents, what possible chance do I have? But he also explained some of the dynamics involved.
When your 80-year-old mother calls you up and says she doesn't know the difference between Wi-Fi and wireless, or can't find the USB port on the side of her laptop, it immediately triggers all of that negativity for people, because suddenly they can see mom being really helpless and their mother feels really helpless. And it often devolves very quickly into acrimony.
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
It really does. The other thing Tom told me was that too often people get an upgrade. You get a new phone or a new computer, and they give the old one to mom and dad. So they're starting off with old technology that was probably dying. So they start with an inferior product to work with.
Which doesn't help. It's very interesting. You think you're doing them a favor and helping them, but it doesn't really help.
No, exactly. And it's no fun to be your parent's parent. And parents have a hard time learning from the kid, whose diapers they changed. And teaching technology is complicated, and it can't be treated like it's easy. You can't just say, hey, mom, it's simple. Just do this.
Learning technology is a lot closer to learning a language. And it takes 6 months to get good at it. It certainly takes 3 months for a beginner to get good at any of this. And that means a couple times a week. It means several hours, certainly an hour a day, 2-3 times a week for beginners to get started. It means they should have a book that they can refer to and some kind of educational methodology that takes a little time for people to learn. And it requires that the content is relevant. You can't teach it to people as if they're 6-year-olds. And so there's a few different moving parts there. And for some reason, people don't really take that into account when they try to bring an older person online for the first time, or have somebody restart a complete new platform, which takes similarly long periods of effort.
Okay, good. Now we have a plan to offer the classes, and Tom's the right guy to make this happen.
Right. So coming up after the break, we're going to see how those classes go.
The Good Government Show is sponsored by Liquid. Welcome back to Season 2, Liquid.
And we still love Liquid. And not just because they are a sponsor again. But Carol, here's a fun fact. A recent study found that over 80% of retail shoppers conduct online research before making a purchase. Do you do that?
Well, yeah, I do it when I know what I'm buying. Like, for instance, we needed some bug spray for the backyard. We were having a party, but we have dogs, so I didn't want anything toxic for the dogs. So I had to run down a lot of products online.
So you did your research?
I did.
All right, good. And if you're in a business, you really have to do your research because you really want to evaluate who you're working with and making sure the company you are about to partner with, you want to make sure it's a good fit.
Well, that makes sense. So you want to stand out to other companies that are checking your company out.
Exactly. And that's where Liquid comes in. They can help your business create a digital presence with impact so you can be impressive to new businesses and keep your customers.
And it's not just about a website. See how much I've learned about Liquid since the first season?
You're Liquid aware. Good for you. Right. So they can guide you where to advertise, make sure your social media is relevant, and it engages your customers. They want to make sure your digital story answers your potential customers' questions before they even have to ask them.
And that's what Liquid is good at, creating a full marketing and online digital presence.
Liquid's been around for nearly 2 decades. They have a lot of experience and a lot of research to back up their plans.
And they have a team of designers, marketers, strategists, and developers. They can help companies in many industries with award-winning creative campaigns, content, and websites.
All good reasons to have Liquid plan your next digital marketing strategy. So check them out and talk to a Liquid professional. Visit them at www.liquidint.com. That's www.liquidint.com.
And you will love Liquid as much as we do.
Because they're our sponsor. We love Liquid. We want to welcome back as a sponsor to the Good Government Show, Kutztown University of Kutztown, Pennsylvania.
And you want to talk about their rugby team.
Well, they do have a good rugby team. They just won a national tournament. And what I did was I called a friend. His daughter played at Kutztown. She played on the rugby team. And I asked him, what did he like best about Kutztown?
You mean besides the rugby team?
Well, yeah, besides the team, obviously the team first. But he responded immediately and said something I didn't know. His favorite thing is the chicken tower, or it's also called the Angry Chicken.
What? I hesitate to ask. The Angry Chicken?
Well, it's such a landmark that it's actually the school's logo. It's a clock tower, and apparently when you look from a special angle, the clock looks a little bit like a chicken with an open beak. So It's the Angry Chicken.
Okay, then. Well, let's talk about the other stuff, like that their degree program in music business is now nationally accredited. They offer undergraduate certificates in cybersecurity and technical writing.
So is this what we do? Is this technical writing?
No. Take a class and maybe get better at writing.
Oh, come on. That's not fair. You know what? You would benefit from the new graduate certificate program and be a school social worker. Maybe you'd be nicer.
All right. Well, the point is Kutztown is a forward-looking university. They also offer Pell Promise scholarships. And for students who qualify, student tuitions and fees are all covered.
And that's just some of why we like Kutztown and are happy to be associated with this university. Oh, and my friend thought it was really cool that sometimes the locals, they ride through in a horse and buggy. So check out Kutztown University. That's Kutztown University, and cheer on their rugby team.
Of course.
Yes, please. The Good Government Show welcomes a new sponsor for season 2, and that's NACO, and that's the National Association of Counties. Carol, did you know that county government affects more people than any other form of government?
Well, I do now. Funny, you would think city or the federal government is bigger.
Well, right, but it's not. You think about this. Roads, highways, hospitals, schools, recycling, law enforcement, water, sewers. In most of the country, those services are maintained by the county. That's county government.
And we want to see good county government, and that's where NACO comes in.
Exactly. They're a nationwide organization that represents all 3,069 counties across the USA.
Now, that's a lot of support and, more importantly, brain power.
Exactly. And they have many organizations and committees, and they do things like share best practices, and they work together on national issues.
And they are urban, suburban, and rural counties that have different challenges, but they can still work together.
Yes, they all work together. So NACO helps county government work better. And as we see in this and other episodes, when county government works, well, that's just good government.
So thanks, NACO, for providing us with great stories and helping support good government.
And thanks, NACO, for supporting the Good Government Show. And remember, citizens, don't forget to vote. Welcome back to the Good Government Show. We're down in Montgomery County, Maryland. We're teaching technology to seniors. We have a plan. And in Tom Camber, we have the right organization to get this started. And one of the things Mitzi realized was it didn't have to be perfect. They just had to start.
I'd say the biggest thing is that we just did it. You know, I think that there's a lot of counties, and the fact is that we started this program in 2016, and people wondered, why are we providing training for older adults? Then we had the pandemic, and suddenly people said, why don't all people have computers and internet at home? The thing that makes us stand out is that we saw that there was a problem and we took action. We didn't come up with the perfect program and we didn't come up with the biggest program, but we tried to get something going. And by virtue of having it going, it enabled us to grow the program and expand it into more languages and more locations and more participants.
Now, that's what I'm talking about. A government worker saying, let's just make this happen.
Right. So what this is good government moving quickly and efficiently and partnering with the right people to bring the experts on they needed. So here's Mitzi again talking about that.
And it sort of just a lot of the pieces fit together. The things that we were looking for were things that they were offering. They were looking to expand at the time that we were looking to do it. And it was a relatively manageable project. And then what we really brought to the table was the ability to leverage within county government all of the various departments and agencies. Montgomery County has 22 libraries. We were already offering Wi-Fi. We had 6 senior center where we were offering food. We had space to provide classes. We came from a technology department, so we were able to address being able to get computers and devices. And it all just kind of came together.
So with her position in the county, she knew who wanted the classes and where to hold them.
Right. So it all came together quickly.
So what do they teach over at Senior Planet Montgomery?
Well, they start with the basics.
Our basic class that we're offering, what we want to think of is what people are really learning is technology and internet basics. So whether you're learning on an iPad or a Chromebook, it's not so much that you need to know how the iPad or the Chromebook needs to work. What you need to know is, how do I use email? How do I surf the internet safely? How do I use Zoom? Because that opens up, those are sort of foundational. So some of our classes are just based on that sort of foundational, how you use those basic skills.
And they have classes on passwords and email, and they also branch out into other areas.
We have them in the financial area. So those can be ways that you can use purchasing things online to save money, creating monthly budgets, other ways that you can save through using free video services, and so forth. And we have an area of sort of a personal enrichment. Those can include, some of them include introductions to social media, so how you use various Facebook, Instagram types of things. Here's
Mitzi with sort of a longer list of their offerings.
We have created a whole series in partnership with our Department of Environmental Protection, which is focused around energy savings. So those can be engaged from paying your bill online, using more efficient light bulbs, how to get home audits and so forth. We've also got classes that are focused on technology, so how you use voice assistants, smartphones, picking computers and television. We have classes that are focused on how you find online resources, preparing for a telehealth appointment. We have ones around, some are focused on how you can use Fitbit and similar devices as part of exercise programs and health programs. We have classes around online shopping, health resources, protecting your information online. And then we've also got some focused on job searching, using home delivery apps.
Wow, this is an impressive range of classes. It really is.
Okay, and here's the wild thing. Prior to the pandemic, they had about 200 people going through multi-week classes. But with Zoom and the pandemic, they suddenly had 48,000 people taking classes just through Zoom.
Wow.
And guess what the number one class was?
Zoom, of course.
Exactly. How to use Zoom.
But that is a huge jump. And this program had the county support?
It does. So now it's time to meet Craig Rice. He's a county commissioner, and he's the head of the NACO Human Services and Education Committee.
So many of our things are online now, whether it's telemedicine, whether it's dealing with bank accounts. My mother was frustrated the other day because she couldn't get an appointment that she needed to have to go into the bank, which she normally does. And they told her that she could do it online. She didn't have an online account set up. And so it was walking through those kinds of steps with me to help her with that. But the reality is that not every senior has that. Not every senior has a child who's there, who's present, who's able to walk them through, and the patients to deal with that. And that's what these programs represent.
And this is why we love Craig Rice. He's a listener. And folks, if you haven't, he's a listener. So if you haven't listened to it yet, as soon as you finish the episode, go back to our homepage and check out our season 2 preview, because I talked at length with Craig about the show and the role of government. And it was a really interesting conversation. He likes the show. He told his friends, and he has a lot to say about good government, including this program in his county.
And we love our listeners.
Especially Craig, because he sees the need and the benefit for programs like this.
These programs represent inclusion for our senior community, making sure that they remain a part of our society, because so much of it is technology dependent. You can't even go through the drive-through these days without being pushed into utilization of an app. And so even for ordering a McDonald's sweet tea takes some technological expertise these days. We need to make sure that we're empowering our seniors with all of this information, with all of the digital literacy and skills, so that they can continue to be a part of our community. And that is what I love about Senior Planet and the tech aspects of this. It really is something that keeps our folks connected.
So I know you talked to some folks who actually took the classes. Did anyone get a gold star?
Well, yes. I mean, I don't know if they actually got a gold star, but let's start with someone. And this is someone whose life really changed thanks to Senior Planet Montgomery. And here's part of our conversation. Okay, so you're going to meet this woman, and she's from Barbados, so listen closely.
My name is Doris Dean. I'm 78, and I took about 5 classes.
What was the most important thing you got out of these classes?
The step-by-step. That's what I found most helpful, because, first of all, I'm a visual person, but I also like detail. And that was what was important to me, and it worked for me. I was able to follow what they were doing and literally integrate it into what I was doing, to the point that it became norm. I've become very adept at Zoom, which I was afraid of at the beginning. But I'm now using Zoom almost every day, all day. And I've learned a lot of little tricks and how to navigate it much better. I think the main thing was that they broke down explanations so that they didn't talk over your head. They didn't use a lot of technical terms. And I was able to relate to what they were talking about and put it into everyday parlance.
Doris, far from retired, produces and hosts Carib Nation TV. When the pandemic hit, she suddenly had to become a Zoom host, and that changed how she worked. And that's why she turned to Senior Planet Montgomery.
Zoom was my prime concern. I wanted to be able to do that comfortably and efficiently. And I think I achieved that. I'm now able to use it without getting into a panic over when I had to do it. It was something that made me very nervous, but not anymore. I now can do an official interview and program with anybody using Zoom fairly comfortably.
Well, good for her. She realized she needed some training, and she got it right through Senior Planet.
Right.
So I guess she found the classes quite helpful.
Very helpful. She did.
Well, what was impressive to me first was that there were some older people who were teaching the courses, which was encouraging, I think, because it gives you the message that you can learn to do things, not because you're old, you can't. Some people can, if they're willing to, if they're interested and curious enough.
Abbas Malik is a retired college professor, and he was so impressed with the Senior Planet programs, he plans to take even more classes. Yeah.
The classes I took, I find it very, very interesting, very different than university classes. The objective of the classes was to train me, not educate me, and they achieved their goals. I got the best training ever. I've been teaching in PhD level, but I never thought classes like this that can be so simply, they can train you in the subject matter they are taking.
A retired professor taking senior planet classes. That's a pretty strong endorsement, if you ask me.
It is. It is. You know, I mean, he loved the classes and he's going to take more. But let's go back to Doris one more time. And I don't think she'd mind if I called her a technophobe. But she was certainly not an early adapter. But these classes really made a difference.
I was a nervous wreck. If I had to deal with it, I was just very apprehensive about it. And I would tell people all the time, if it has to do with technology, I don't want to have much to do with it. Just give me the basics and I'll stay away from as much of it as possible. Now I'm not so afraid of it. I'm quite open to taking challenges and searching things out.
That is great progress, isn't it?
It is for her. And she told me that one of the classes showed her how to find videos on YouTube, which, you know, as you know, you can pretty much find anything on YouTube that'll tell you how to do practically anything. But now she's totally comfortable with those videos. And I asked her about the folks she took the classes with. She said the teachers were extremely patient and made sure everyone understood what they were doing.
Just like you and your mom, right?
Well, exactly. Okay, not exactly. But that's the benefit of a program like this. They find success and the seniors find it on their own.
And that's really a good plan.
It really is. So if you have a senior citizen who needs some technology help, go to seniorplanet.org. And if you're in Montgomery, there's going to be a list of classes. But remember, Tom runs a national organization, OATS, so there could be a program near you.
And that could really help a lot of people.
You know, one of the many benefits that Mitzi told me about was the applications that classes have meant. There's a lot of folks that are doing things like online fundraising or volunteering. Several have started online small businesses, and other folks are just way more comfortable making online doctor's appointments, like my mom. But others have taken advantage of the area health programs and have signed up for pilot programs, and that's going to help other people down the road. All
great benefits of being a lot more comfortable with technology. So who gets the last word on this one?
So the last word is going to Commissioner Rice. He was really enthusiastic about the program.
And our show.
But he had a really inspiring way to look at the Senior Planet program in the county.
These are all things that speak to quality of life. They don't always have a direct delineated line to a number in terms of profit or advantage for the individual government, but you can see in so many ways in which that impact is there, and that impact actually garners some great outcomes for us and garners great outcomes for the individual as well. Sometimes it's just the right thing to do, and making sure that you have folks that are connected, that can't be taken advantage of, that are well-versed and able to just live out their lives. Those are all positives for us.
The right thing to do. I like that.
That's what good government is all about. Doing the right thing. It may not be the most popular thing or the thing that guarantees you re-election. It may be opposed by the not in my backyard crowd. And it may cost money, but if it's the right thing to do, that's what government is supposed to do.
And they are doing it in Montgomery County, Maryland.
They are, and that's our show.
I'm Carol D'Oria.
And I'm David Martin. Thanks for listening. See you next time on The Good Government Show. Don't forget to follow The Good Government Show on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss any of the great stories we tell. Join our community on Facebook and be part of the conversation. Join our discussion on Twitter. If you like our show, tell your friends to listen too. For more extras on the show, check out our website, goodgovernmentshow.com. The Good Government Show is produced by Valley Park Productions. Jim Ludlow, David Martin, and David Snyder are the executive producers. Jason Stershic is our producer and editor. Some transcriptions were done by Kofi, Ajeasi, Ampah. Our hosts are me, David Martin, and Carol D'Oria. Join us again for The Good Government Show wherever you listen to podcasts.